Have you ever asked this profound question, why good people suffer? But first, let me ask you, where do we find our astonishment? Not just casual surprise, but that deep, soul-stirring wonder. We've grown so accustomed to the boundless patience and unwavering kindness of God that, dare I say, we sometimes take it for granted. It becomes an expectation, a baseline, rather than a breathtaking gift. But what truly seems to astound us, to knock the wind out of our sails, is not the surge of divine favor, but the sudden storm of adversity. When tragedy strikes, when affliction bears down, or suffering casts its long shadow, that's when we often find ourselves in a spiritual crisis. Perhaps it's because we've been fed a rather comfortable narrative. Embrace God and all your troubles will simply vanish. Or the notion that suffering, pain, or hardship are somehow outside of a higher will. When these unwelcome guests arrive, our faith can buckle under the weight of such dissonance. Let me take you back to an ancient conversation. Recorded in the 13th chapter of Luke, people approached Jesus, burdened by disturbing news. "Teacher, did you hear about those Galileans? Pilate, in a brutal display, mingled their blood with their sacrifices." They were asking, in essence, how could this happen? How could the righteous suffer so unjustly? And Jesus answered, "Do you think that these Galileans were worse sinners than all the other Galileans because they suffered this way? I tell you no, but unless you repent, you too will all perish." Or those 18 who died when the tower in Siloam fell on them. Do you think they were more guilty than all the others living in Jerusalem? I tell you no, but unless you repent, you too will all perish. What's truly being asked here under the surface? It's the age-old lament. Why does the good suffer? Why does life throw these cruel curveballs? The Tower of Siloam collapses on innocent bystanders, just going about their day. People become victims of senseless brutality. We are genuinely shocked. And perhaps what's even more startling is the reply. It's not an explanation of why those specific individuals suffered. Instead, it's a profound redirection. It's as if Jesus is saying, you're asking the wrong question. The real question isn't why them, but why not me? Why did the tower not fall on my head? Why was my life spared from such a sudden, violent end? We often carry the silent assumption that life owes us an existence free from hardship. Now we must navigate this terrain of suffering with care. In another ancient text, John chapter 9, we find a similar inquiry. Disciples ask about a man born blind. Whose sin caused this, his or his parents? And the answer is equally profound. Neither. This happened so that God's works might be revealed through him. This isn't always about punishment. It's often about purpose. Consider the ancient saga of Job, an entire narrative dedicated to grappling with suffering. Here was a man described as blameless and upright, who endured unimaginable pain and loss. His closest companions, steeped in conventional wisdom, concluded he must be the worst of sinners to deserve such a fate. Job, in his agony, cried out, "Though he slay me, yet will I trust him." He wrestled with the question, "Why, O God?" And that agonizing why is a natural human cry when pain and tragedy visit us. But we must guard our why. An earnest plea for understanding is legitimate, but why can also be a thinly veiled accusation, a demand for an explanation from a posture of assumed entitlement. When why rings with accusation, the only legitimate response we can expect is why not? This perspective, however challenging, must remain before us. The reality of suffering is universal, and in our modern world, we're often fed pagan narratives about pain. It's crucial to understand the distinction between a truly profound understanding of suffering and these more superficial, earthly perspectives. Let's briefly touch on 4 common secular approaches to pain. Firstly, there's the illusionary view. This perspective denies the reality of suffering, asserting it's merely a trick of the mind. It's not real, they claim, just a misperception. But try telling that to someone in excruciating pain in a hospital bed. Pain is undeniably real. Sorrow is palpable. Denying its existence offers no true solution. Secondly, the Stoic retreat. This is the stiff upper lip approach. Life is governed by impersonal, deterministic forces beyond our control. Our only freedom, they contend, lies in controlling our internal reaction to these forces. The goal is ataraxia, or unshakable peace of mind, achieved by cultivating imperturbability. Build a thick skin, suppress emotions, endure in silence. While there's a kernel of truth in managing reactions, denying the human experience of sorrow is an incomplete answer. Thirdly, the hedonistic escape. This view defines the good as the elimination of pain and the pursuit of pleasure. In its raw form, it leads to unbridled indulgence, gorging, excess, a life lived for immediate gratification. The more refined version, the Epicurean path, seeks optimum pleasure, just enough to excite without inviting painful consequences. Just a little bit of everything, carefully managed. But both forms inevitably crash against the wall of reality. Unrestrained pursuit of pleasure quickly yields pain, and even calculated indulgence leads a void. Let us eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. This creed of the hedonist, ancient yet ever-present, fuels much of our modern escapism. When life feels meaningless, when suffering seems pointless, the lure of numbing the ache with fleeting pleasure becomes irresistible. We see it in rising rates of addiction, in the desperate search for solace in a bottle or a fleeting thrill. It's a poignant reflection of a culture that often lacks a higher purpose, leading to profound anxiety and, tragically, even despair. But the understanding that transcends these limited views, the truly transformative understanding, is this: for those who seek it, suffering is never an exercise in futility. It is, rather, an instrument in the hands of God, wielded for profound redemptive purposes. We are reminded that suffering isn't strange or unexpected. It is woven into the fabric of this journey. The path to true insight is often a via dolorosa, a way of sorrow, a path of profound challenge. And yet, this path is not walked alone. This isn't Stoicism. We are permitted, even encouraged, to feel grief. When the carpenter from Nazareth stood at the tomb of a friend, knowing what he was about to do, he still wept. Our deepest sorrows, our legitimate human emotions of loss and grief, are not only permitted, but in many ancient texts, even commended. There's nothing inherently sinful in mourning. While grief can twist into self-pity or bitterness, these are distortions. The raw emotion itself is sacred ground. Ancient wisdom tells us it is better to enter the house of mourning than to frivolously waste time. The experience of profound sorrow can, paradoxically, outweigh 1,000 fleeting joys in shaping our understanding. This profound truth helps us understand that challenges, even pain, can work to forge resilience, to refine character. God uses our hardships not merely to punish, but to polish. We enter the refiner's fire so that impurities are removed, drawing us closer to the source of all being, making us more resonant with the ultimate good. And the challenges of this present moment, they are but fleeting, and they pale in comparison to the boundless wonders yet to be revealed. In this light, suffering becomes not a dead end, but a bridge to an unseen glory. This isn't an invitation to seek out pain or to deny its sting. We don't rejoice in headaches or the ravages of illness. We rejoice in the presence of God within our pain. We must expect that challenges are part of the human journey, an inherent aspect of life in a world that is, at times, a veil of tears. And when afflicted, we might ask, why? Perhaps it is a gentle correction, a discipline to guide us. But we must never leap to the conclusion that every setback is a direct proportionate punishment for a specific misstep. The story of Job powerfully refutes that simplistic equation. He suffered profoundly, yet was righteous. We don't always need to know the specific why. What we must know is the nature of God. When Job pleaded for an answer, for an explanation, God appeared, not to explain the why, but to simply be. "Here I am," was the essence of the reply. "I am with you. Trust me." And when God says, "Trust me," it is an invitation, not a command to run, but to lean in. We are never promised a life devoid of shadows, but the profound, unwavering promise is this: we are never, ever alone in the valley. "Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your guiding presence, it comforts me." We have a shepherd. We have profound companionship. We may not be removed from the arena of pain, but we are most assuredly upheld within it.